Okay, welcome moms. It's nice to be back here with you again on a Friday. Just an update. I received most of the training I needed to edit and upload the videos, the discussions to YouTube. But there are a couple points that somehow I missed. So I've uploaded a couple of them. There's still a couple more that need to go up, and I'm going to have to wait until P-Day when I can message with my son and find out what the steps are that I'm missing. So you'll have to wait for those. Sorry about that, but we'll get that. I am learning. I almost have it, almost. So, or if any of you know how to use, what am I using? Adobe Premiere, you can message me separately and I can ask you my questions and we might be able to get it figured out before then. Anyway, it's nice to have you on here. And we do have some new faces, and that's great. I don't know if these are friends of some of yours or moms who have messaged me separately, but it's really great. We love getting new faces on here. That's nice. And Amberlynn, it's nice to have you back with us too. Lindsay, I know it's Lincoln's birthday today, so happy birthday to Lincoln.
I will tell him. I wasn't gonna get on, but he's busy, so I thought he won't notice.
Good. I'm glad. And then any of you who are able to come on screen, do that. It's pretty casual here. And we also understand if you come on to talk and if you've got some kid noise in the background, that's really common here and we do not mind that. It's all good. And if you have one of those just calm, quiet households because your kids are all gone, then that's just weird. I can tell you that from experience. Now that I'm experiencing that, I'm not sure I'm crazy about it. I like all the noise in the background, so, bring it on. Okay, let's see. Was that you? Oh, Emily is your sister. Oh, great. Okay, well, welcome, Emily. Emily is Ida's sister, or Parley's aunt. Yeah? Okay, awesome. That's okay. We'll call you Parley. That's fine. You're just tired of being Ida. That's all right. We don't have a problem with that. Whatever. Having an identity crisis,
The one that says Lena and Micah Figueroa, that's Cami. Those are her daughters.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, yeah, Figueroa. Okay, nice. Hey,
Yeah.
Cami.
Sorry, I don't know how to edit my name. And we're walking and I'm not able to hold my phone in my face right now. So
fortunately, that's
I'm here.
Or that's not one of our rules. You don't have to have the right name up there. Doesn't matter.
I was trying to have my husband change. I'm like, how do I change this? I don't even know why my daughter's names are on there, but
it's all good. Lindsay Watkins says, everyone change your name to your identity crisis name. I like that. I'm going to have to figure out what that is. I'm having one right now, so I need an identity crisis name. Okay, this is a note for me because I'm going to forget that I need to think of an identity crisis name. It's my goal for this next week. All right. Well, I'd like to hear about your weeks. I'd like to hear how you're doing, what you're thinking about, what's going on in your head, are you changing? Do you feel like you're beginning to have some changes happen in your life because of this well-educated heart, these things that you're doing for you to affect your own heart? I know I talked to some of you. Hot mess. That's Lindsay Watkins. Sorry, I just saw that. That's awesome. I talked to some of you separately and I hear that you're having some experiences that are making a difference. You're starting to feel like, okay, I'm responding a bit differently. I'm having some different experiences and I know it's because my heart is softer. I'm more open to seeing things from a wider perspective, a warmer heart. And I love that. I love hearing that that's happening. And do you see the contrast? I'm having some situations in my life right now where I'm seeing multiple situations and multiple people where I'm seeing a huge difference, a really big contrast between those whose hearts are depleted. I think that's a really good way to say that because they're not doing anything wrong. It's just their hearts have become depleted over time from not taking time, not understanding that we need to take that time to refuel, replenish, and then that needs to not be with just like watching Netflix for hours or something, but it needs to be with something that's heartwarming, something that makes a difference, something that creates that different that ability to see things differently. And as I watch these different people go through these crises, those whose hearts are depleted are really struggling. Those whose hearts have been warmed are still feeling sad and feeling the pain and having concerns and worries, but they seem to be different as they handle these things. Ida, do you want to hop on and share whatever
I
you're going to
was
share?
thinking that about what you were saying about hearts, and we often say like hard hearts, right? We read that in like the scripture that talks about hard hearts. And I think as I'm a verbal processor, so I'm kind of processing and thinking about it at the same time. So just be patient with me. But I think that there's different reasons that our hearts can harden, right? And I feel like you said, sometimes it's not that we're doing anything wrong. There's just an absence of things that are warming, like that soften and warm hearts, right? So like sometimes there's so much pain or trauma, and we haven't had enough, or not having enough good and inspiring things in our lives, and so our hearts become harder because of that, almost as a way to protect them, right?
Yeah.
It talks about in the scriptures, like during times of war, sometimes people's hearts were hardened and sometimes they were softened, depending, their choices too. But I just think there's lots of reasons, but I think part of having a soft heart is all about bringing more light and warmth and inspiration into your life, however that can be brought into your life. Or love, right? Love warms our hearts. Feeling God's love for us changes us, right? Like we talked about, and that I think is what helps to soften our heart, and we can feel God's love in lots of different ways, right? So anyways, just that I had that thought about that comment you were making.
I love
I'll
it.
stop talking now.
No, don't. And you guys don't apologize for talking. When you guys, as I go back and I'm editing these Zoom discussions and I'm listening to your comments, they're so beautiful and inspired and thoughtful, and they're helpful. If they weren't helpful, we wouldn't have moms contacting me saying, I've just been watching your videos. I know you don't know me, but they've been so helpful to me. It's not my words, it's everybody's words. It's what we're discussing. It's the back and forth, and knowing that there are people you can share your experiences with. That's so incredibly helpful. Okay, who else wants to chime in on this subject? Just sharing your observations, your thoughts. Lindsay.
I think it goes through the ebb and flow, like everything else in life. And I don't necessarily think that you go from soft heart to hard heart really quickly. I think, and I was talking to my husband about it, and I said, because we have some things going on in our life right now, and he goes, I don't think you're hardening your heart. He goes, I think you're just putting like a protection shield over it right now. Your heart's not hard toward this person. You're just creating a level of protection because, this person that I'm dealing with they really they like to get you and just drive it in. And so I'm kind of just protecting because I'm like, I don't want to harden my heart because of what's going on, but I do need to protect it. And I think that's a better way of me thinking of it, because I don't want to think that, oh, my heart is hard again. Say that 10 times fast. That's not good. I don't want to constantly have that in my mind, that I'm going, oh, my heart is soft. Oh, my heart is hard. Oh, it's just, I just want to think that, okay, am I just in protection mode right now from what's going on?
Yeah.
So,
and what if it's not? What if once you warm your heart, then you have this active feeling heart? and it's responsive to all the things, good and bad. And then it knows kind of how to shield in some situations and how to open up in others, but it's not empty. It's not depleted and unable to receive and assess and give, but I don't know. Because I don't
Maybe
think
like
it's, yeah, go ahead, Ida.
I think I think we do have to protect ourselves to some extent, right? Like I think about my girls and they've been through some really hard things and they needed to protect themselves from pain. That's like a response, I think a natural response, right? But I think the problem is when you put up so much protection that you can't feel anything, like then that's the problem. When you experience really hard things, I think you block out everything. And that's the good and the bad, right? And I don't know, maybe it depends on what you decide to do with that, right? Where you choose to go. How do you decide to process those feelings and those experiences that are difficult? If you can work through them and not just leave them, like leave your heart all protected all the time, right? But there's definitely times when we have to do that. I think it's necessary.
Does softening and warming it maybe help your heart to be able to better discern between the good and the bad?
I think so. I think like I was listening to this this guy talking about his son. It's a video, and he had an 8-year-old son, and he died in a traumatic way, and he was backed over by his dad, and his dad didn't know. It was really awful, and it was crushing for this family. And he talked about praying about that and being like, just take away the pain, Heavenly Father, this is so hard.
Wow.
And the guilt and all those things, like why did I do these things, right? And he said that he felt the Spirit tell him, I could take this away, but if I take this away, then I have to take all the joy away too. And so he said, I don't want that to go away for anything, so I will take the pain because I had those 8 years of joy with my son. So I think like we have to have sometimes both of those things, even though they're hard to like we can't experience the greatest joy if we can't also experience sometimes the greatest pain. All right.
Oh, that's beautiful. Golly. Well, so what I was thinking earlier is the problem comes about when our hearts are shutting out God, right? And so maybe that's part of the equation, and part of what you factor in there. But having an open, warm heart does mean you feel the pain, you feel the sadness, you feel all the feels, which is why Marlene changed my little, my happy face, heart, and sunflower thing. What makes you happy, what warms your heart is what I said, what helps you grow. She said, how about if you change that to what stirs your heart? Because good and bad affect our hearts, right? It's not just the good. It's not just the warm, fuzzy things. It's things like pain and sadness and difficult situations that you're experiencing or that you're helping another person through. All those things stir your heart and make it become active again. But it's through the Spirit and having a foundation that we're able to continue to move forward through the good and the bad. And I don't think we can have just one, which doesn't mean that you open yourself up to other people, hurting you and things like that. So obviously, there's situations with relationships where, you've got to be careful, but having your heart be open and warmed to the things around you and to be able to take in the good and be able to have that reflected back out of you to the people around you. I don't know. I just watch people handling situations and I see a marked difference between And so I've thought, what's the difference? And I know a little bit about their personal lives, and I think, oh, I wonder about this heart thing. Lindsay Bunting, do you have something to add? No? Okay. You're just on, I just want to make sure. So many times you have amazing thoughts that you share with me afterwards, and I think, oh, say them. But I know you're being polite, waiting for me to stop talking, which I never do. So you guys are just going to have to butt in if you want to say something. Look, I'm being quiet. Emily, I would love to hear what you have to say. I can tell you're an active listener. I know you have stuff going on around you too. I can tell. But look at you managing everything. And both of you with your headsets on, you're all ready to go. On top of everything. I love it. Just gonna wait and see who is next. Who has something that they feel in their heart they want to share. And it doesn't have to, remember, it doesn't have to be anything earth shattering. It's your thought, whatever pops in your head or your heart and you feel like, oh, I want to share this thing. Then we need you to share it.
Okay, I'll butt in really quick.
Great.
So we're talking about, difficulties and how this heartwarming can help us. I had to give a talk in our church a couple weeks ago, and I found this quote that I really loved. It's from Marlene's book, The Restoring the Art of Storytelling in the Home. And it says, we need to raise a generation whose hearts will not fail in the middle of difficulties and who will keep focused on the possibilities ahead. I like that because we are going to have difficulties, but needing to focus after them too. Their ability to maintain hope will be in direct proportion to how broad and how deep their reservoir of stories is from which they can draw. And I thought, wow, that's kind of cool because, we are trying to provide a lot of things for our children to fill their hearts so their reservoirs will be full. So they have something to fall back on. And it's kind of neat to think, how did so-and-so handle this situation in this book or this or that or whatever? And it won't work for every situation, obviously. We'll have to rely on the spirit a lot for quite a bit of things, but there are situations where kids or ourselves could look back on something that we've read somewhere or a story we've heard, even from an ancestor or a family member, that if we know them, if they're in our hearts, we can use them and apply them. So.
I love that. And those exact same phrases, everything that you said, which I'm going to actually ask you to repeat in a minute, but think about them as Amberlynn repeats this, if you don't mind. Think about them in relation to you right now, to your heart and to what's going on right now in your life and everything, because all of these things are for us first and then our children, and they will bless our children and our children's children. I mean, this is the hope for the future is in right here in what she's saying, but think about it right now for a minute as hope for you. So Amberlynn, if you don't mind reading that again or sharing those thoughts.
Okay, well, just the quote. I don't know if I can say everything else. Okay. We need to raise a generation whose hearts will not fail in the middle of difficulties and who will keep focused on the possibilities ahead. Their ability to maintain hope will be in direct proportion to how broad and how deep their reservoir of stories is from which they can draw. And again, stories from books, stories from family, stories from your ancestors. So many stories in the world, and that's, I think, a lot of what Well-Educated Heart is about, is filling our hearts with these.
I love that. Thank you. So the first thing was their hearts won't fail them in the middle of difficulties. That's pretty powerful to have that hope or that possibility, to know that that's something you can be blessed with, that your heart won't fail you in the middle of difficulties. That's pretty powerful. The other one was something about being able to focus. I was trying to get them all, but I didn't. But being able to focus, what was it?
Focus on the possibilities ahead.
I love that. Do you know people who just can't, it seems like they cannot pull themselves out of the moment and even think about anything beyond this trial, this difficulty. And so it's just like paralyzing to them?
It's hard. I think you can think of it like going on a hike. We hike a lot. And sometimes you have a big muddy mess that you have to go through and you think, we are never going to get out of this. But one of the ways that we push past some of those is thinking of, we know what's coming ahead. So we just have to focus on what is at the end of the trail. We know we're going to make it. It's going to be hard and difficult before that, but there is that ending point that we
Yeah.
focus on.
That's a great analogy. That's really, really good. I love that. And then the ability to maintain hope, right?
Yep. In direct proportion to how broad and how deep their reservoir of stories is from which they can draw.
Ah, so that's something, for us to think about. How broad and how deep is my reservoir of stories from which I can draw? Scripture stories, right? Family stories, family history stories, any of the beautiful stories that I've read in my lifetime. And like Marlene says, so many times it's not that you're remembering all the details of those things. But you do remember how it made you feel. And that is something that you can carry with you. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Amberlynn. And could you share the resource, remind us the book, the name of the book?
That's from Restoring the Art of Storytelling in the Home.
And do you have a page number?
I can look for it in just a minute.
Okay, sorry. If you don't mind, that would be wonderful.
Well, here's what the book looks like. Sorry, the word's all backwards
Yeah,
probably for
that's
you.
fine.
These are kind of
They're frontwards for us.
Oh, okay. Well, that works. Well, that's the book. And I'll get back to you in just a
Yeah,
second.
no worries. No worries. That is so beautiful. I love that. Oh, it's just perfect too for what's going on with me right now. Other stuff. This week is like multiple things, right? I mean, I've seen that for lots of people. There's just so many things going on this past week. Ida, go ahead.
I'm butting in. Sorry.
Oh, good.
Oh, page 11.
Oh,
Just
awesome.
to tell you really quick. Page 11 at the
I want
bottom.
to know the page. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, go ahead, Ida.
We watched for family movie night. We watched The Hiding Place. I think I talked to you guys about it a little bit. Did I talk to you about it last week? Maybe not. No, because we watched it last week. Anyways, we watched that movie, the 1975 version, and that was so beautiful. And it like totally is like an illustration of what Amberlynn just read. Like these two sisters, and they're put in this, prison camp because they were helping the Jews, hiding them in their house, right? And the one of them, I won't tell you the ending, but like just things that they went through and the experiences they had and what they showed in the movie, I'm sure it's only just a fraction of what they could actually even show, right, and share. But and like things that they like, one of the ladies like, oh, you hate the lice now, but you will love them because it will keep the guards from wanting to come into, where we sleep, right? And like other things that were just horrible and awful that they experienced, and yet she continued to have hope, and like she wanted to have she was able to smuggle a Bible into the prison camp so she could read it. But she said in there, no matter how deep the pit is, or something like that, no matter how deep the pit is, God's love is still deeper, right? So it doesn't matter the hardest things that we're going through, he can still help us, right? We can still have hope and peace. And so anyways, totally love that movie. I have to read the book really soon, but you guys should check it out because it's very heartwarming and inspiring to keep going. It's a story.
It's a beautiful story. I remember reading it a long time ago, and I've thought lately I should read it. I did read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, which is also so beautiful. And it teaches us that, we really do get to choose how we respond to life, and that there's so much power in that, in being able to hold on to God's love for us, and be able to control our thoughts, our responses to things. And that's powerful. It's hard to imagine sometimes when you're in the middle of something, we tend to let ourselves be overcome by the situation and our emotions, but we have power. and we just
She-
don't access it.
One of the things I'll share is that um, they let this they let her out of prison. The I can't remember her name right now, Corey Ten Boom. So they let her out of the prison camp, and it was towards the end of the war, but she went home, and she didn't realize until later that she was let out because of a clerical error. And then also right after that time, they started killing women that were her age. And so she realized that was like divine intervention, you know. And like, I think sometimes we don't realize where the hands of the Lord are in the story that we're in. But if we're letting him be the author of our story, like they said in conference, sometimes we'll see that, you know, after the fact, we'll realize, you know, anyways.
Yeah. Well, and think about that just for a moment. You know, if it just the fact that she kept that perspective and then had a story to tell that would bless the lives of so many people. And so he intervened and took her out so that she would be able to do that, you know? Yeah, it's very, very powerful. Perspective can help us a lot, which doesn't mean that our trials aren't, you know, incredible and hard for us, but just it does help having perspective. Seeing another person's, you know, journey, watching that. Do you feel like providing service for others, doing something kind for another person helps you in dealing with your own problems? Cadences. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, my first thing was thinking, well, I'm constantly serving my family, and so sometimes I get a little burned out from that. But if it's for somebody else, like one of my friends, suddenly I have all this energy and creative ideas, and I forget about my own problems. It's great. But
So
that's why we need other people. We need other people, and we need to be interacting with other people so we have those opportunities.
yeah, and it does kind of help because it reminds you, oh, I actually am a person who can move and do things, and I have ideas, and I can be helpful, and I can accomplish really great things. Because sometimes you do get, maybe you focus a little bit too much on the monotony that can be in our lives and forget to see, you know, the goodness. I loved Linnell's message the other day where she talked about her schedule being so incredibly busy, so filled from morning to night, but she chose to see it as being tight like a dish. I thought, wow, that's very optimistic and positive. And I just think I still, wow, how did you get there? But that's so true. That can be a real blessing to us because our lives are filled with good things. While we may get a little bit tired of them, they are really good things. And like Melissa shared with us a few months ago, the monotony, I guess, you know, of our schedules are what allow us so much time to be interrupted by our children and be able to pay attention to them and to other people, to be able to give time and attention to others when they need it. Being interruptible. Anyway, just so many things just keep coming back and are so helpful and needful. And I don't know, but I really appreciated that. So Cadence, it's good, I think, isn't it, to get out there and share with other people. Go ahead.
Well, I want to share a few things that I'm writing down, so it might not come out very nice, but so it's been interesting adjusting with Zephyr and doing some things that I don't love doing, and I'm continually like, when am I going to be able to not do this anymore? But I'm really trying. I'm trying to find all the good aspects that I can of it, and there are good aspects. I just have a bad attitude a lot of the time. So one of the things I've been doing is bringing some of these books that I really want to read and don't have an hour or 2 hours just to sit there and soak it in, which is what I would love. But so one of these books is called The Life-Giving Home. And the other one was called Madame Chic, Becoming a Connoisseur of Daily Life. and then of course the other ones I'm reading from Well Educated Heart, but I've been reading them in like the 5 minutes that I'm waiting to drop Zephyr off at the bus, in the 5 minutes when I'm waiting to pick her up. And I'm feeling really nervous right now. I don't know why. Like, I don't know why I'm feeling nervous. But anyway, take it off. What was I gonna say? Okay, so where am I going with this?
Okay, really.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. We love when you.
I have all these thoughts written down and it's all jumbled, but okay. So the other thought is that I have all these beautiful things that the Lord is bringing into my life. Things like as simple as some china. Why am I still raising my hand? Sorry. Lower hand. That was bothering me. Things like china or like a beautiful teacup or something, or a beautiful book that I'm reading. It's like he's bringing all these small things into my life to uplift my spirits and my heart so that I can go forward and do amazing things. And these, it's not that the things themselves are worth anything necessarily. Like I'm not setting my heart on this china. I know it's going to get broken at some point, but right now it's helping me. It's a tool. It's a tool for me to get to change me inside so that then the things that I do in my life, in my sphere, it's doing such good things. The other thing I want to talk, oh yeah, it gives me new eyes to see like, oh, I could use this or this. And the other thing that Heavenly Father is helping me with the Well Educated Heart. Okay, I used to be at this point where I could not plan stuff. I could not plan. I didn't know what to do for things. And I didn't know how to plan stuff. And so it's really weird now when people look at me like, how do you do this? You're just naturally good at this. And boy, was I not naturally good at this. This has been a process. This has been years. But now the Spirit brings things. I sit down to plan. Here's an idea. Here's an idea. Here's an idea. So many ideas. And then just even planning, like, come follow me. The Spirit was like, I say the Spirit, I'm not actually thinking in my mind, this is the Spirit telling me this. It's just like, oh, go and look for one of these for like a day of the week. And then plan your come follow me. Write down a scripture. And then I'm writing down the scripture. And while I'm doing that, a song comes to my mind that would go well with it. Or sometimes here's a little activity that would go well with it. It's not me. It's not me. It just is coming. I'm open to, I don't know, I'm open to goodness and beautiful and all these things. And I'm shaking right now. I don't know why. I'm just like, I'm so grateful for these amazing things that are happening in my life because it's just so much is coming to me, so much goodness. And I think that's all I wanted to share today, but it's just beautiful.
Oh, Cadence, I love you, and I love you for sharing that and in that way. And you were shaking. I mean, that's just you're feeling those emotions and the Spirit so strongly as you are witnessing, really, to us how this works and what you've experienced in your life. You have put in the time. You put in whatever time you can find, and you've done that for years. And so, like you said, you're open now to goodness and beauty. And so you receive it. It's always been there. It's there in front of all of us. It's just we need to have eyes to see and a heart to feel it. And once we do, then it just starts coming so fast. You can't even write all the ideas down. I know that feeling, and you feel overwhelmed with gratitude that he loves you that much and would help you that much, because you know, it's kind of like, it's just me, it's just dumb old me, and I don't know anything and I can't do any of this. I've proved it for years. I can't do it much on my own, or at least, I'm aware of my limitations and things. And now it's just all coming and it's flowing. And people are looking at me and saying, wow, you're so good at that. And you think, no, it's not me. I just opened up. It's like I became a conduit, you know? And that's the thing that we're trying to do and become, is just this open receptacle for light and goodness and beauty, so that then it shines out of us and spills over the top and it affects those around us. This is what our Heavenly Father knows we can be. This is why he needs his daughters right now. This is why. Because we are capable of doing this. The world has hardened us. And I mean, it kind of became about out of necessity. You know, we just saw the world around us and experienced what was happening and responded, I guess, to those things. We kind of forgot that whole idea of, you know, come unto me, you know, and the world has given us so many reasons, so many false ideas, and given us tools and things that we thought were right, and things to think that we thought were right, and justifications and whatever. And it's been really hard to sift through and find the truth in all of that. But then we see that once we start to do these good and beautiful things, it's not so hard anymore. We've kind of like broken away that outer shell, and our hearts are softer now, you know, and he can give us a new heart, and we can feel all the things that we're supposed to feel, you know, or that are out there for us to feel. We can handle things better. We can bring more of that light into ourselves and everybody else. I want to see what this is. Life isn't happening to me as much anymore. Yes, I'm moving forward with all kinds of plans, and really a conduit is a great way to put it. Thanks. I do like that imagery, but that came from, oh gosh, I can't think, Montserrat Woodsworth. She's on the Well Educated Heart page. She's amazing, an incredible woman. But yes, that's exactly how I expressed this to somebody else this week. It's not, life isn't happening to these people anymore. They are able, it's like that whole act or be acted upon, you know, it's that difference. And it's kind of like, that's so powerful. Lindsay Watkins just put, President Nelson said, no one can do what a righteous woman can do. I mean, we each have our roles, and these are the things that we can do, and we need to be doing. The world needs us to be doing these things right now. He needs our hearts, but he needs them to be open and receptive, and he can work miracles. That quote that's on the Mothers of Influence page is powerful. Mother love can work magic, but organized mother love can work miracles. And that's pretty incredible. And that's what we are. We are organized mother love. My sister calls hard times as romantic hardship. It is part of the grander story and makes me see hard things as a valuable part of my life. Yeah, that's beautiful. If we had the perspective that he has, you know, I mean, that I shared already what my husband said when he was thinking about all of these very difficult things that have been happening around us lately, including sweet Michaela and her passing. And he talked about that imagery of, we look out and we just see these explosions. You know, I shared this before with you, but I'm going to share it again, out there in people's lives. So there's an explosion over here, this horrible traumatic thing that happened, and another explosion over here, this tragic accident, you know, and this horrible situation that's happening over here with dear people that we love, and another explosion. And from our vantage point, that's all we see. And we just wonder, oh, why is it so hard? And why are these things happening? For from his vantage point, from his perspective, he sees that little moment, and then things start to blossom in that area. There's new growth, and that new growth starts slow and then just builds and builds and builds, and there's growth, and it becomes something beautiful in that spot where all we saw was this explosion and all of the damage and the hurt. And I think that's true for all of our situations. And it's okay that we have that we can't see it. You know, if we could see it, we would have no trials, no tests here. We would not need faith, right? But that idea of having to trust, you know, having to let go and say, it's okay. I don't understand, but I trust. And I don't know. There are so many people around each one of us. I know, I mean, in spite of the things we're going through, each one of us has somebody around us going through something really difficult that needs to be lifted up and needs to be supported and held. And we can do that. And it might just be in our own homes. And that's fabulous. That's wonderful. That is enough. That's enough. But it might be outside of that too. And we are going to be called upon to do more. And this is our preparation. Who else has something they want to share? I've been talking for too long. Yeah, Emily.
I was just going to say that I don't know if you have talked about this or not, but I'm teaching this class from the church that is just starting to be offered that's called Finding Strength in the Lord, Emotional Resilience.
Yes.
And I think I'm on week 4, I think, of doing it. And anyway, it isn't what I thought it was going to be, but it's better than I thought it was going to be, so that's good. But it was, I mean, not that I expected anything bad, but it's just been such a beautiful thing for me. And even though I don't necessarily feel like I'm doing as much as I could so that I could get maybe more out of the class, I feel like my effort to just go and, you know, that took a little bit of courage for me to do actually, and to participate, but also just like the small things that I try to do, like I share a little bit about the class with someone, or I decide I'm going to reach out because of something that I've talked about in the class, and you know, just different little things, just very small things that are maybe just a little bit more than what I normally would do, and it has really helped me so much. So if you have the opportunity to take the class and you feel like it would benefit you, that's all.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful class. I thought it was amazing. I loved it. I took it with Lindsay Bunting and Laura, who's usually on here too. We took it together and with some other ladies, and it was really powerful. And that idea of accountability with your partner and then having to share what you've learned with somebody else. Those are little things. And then, like you said, even just the tiny little things, the little tiny changes, if you just take one of those ideas and implement it just a little bit, you're doing more than you were doing before, right? And the Lord magnifies those efforts. And what you said also about just showing up, you know, just going, making the effort to go, took courage. And those things do. And I love that you shared that. I love that. Every little thing that we do that's a little bit different, where we're making an effort, is noticed by our Heavenly Father. All of it. And it's counted for good. And it makes a difference. And that phrase comes up all the time, by small and simple things, or by small and simple means, you know. Great things are brought to pass, and it's true. Who else wants to share something? Hey, I got that too.
It's
That
so
tradition.
good. It's so good. You know, years ago, this would have been really overwhelming because it would have made me feel like, oh, I'm not a good mom. I don't do any of those things. Or I can't do all those things. I feel like a terrible mother. But now that I'm looking at it as just like ideas, it's just like a Pinterest of ideas. Then it's like, ooh, you do one thing.
Like
it's so
building a
fun.
scarecrow.
Yeah, like building a scarecrow with his old shirt that, you know, I was gonna throw away.
Very cool.
Anyway.
So share with everybody what the book is.
Oh,
if
sorry.
they're all there.
Okay, so this is, okay, wait, just a second. It's called Mrs. Sharp's Traditions, Reviving Victorian Family Celebrations of Comfort and Joy. So I was actually doing one from August because I liked it so much, I didn't want to miss it. So it talks about just little things like this that get your mind off of like the stress and the news. This is beautiful. So it's like preserving the harvest. You know, it gives a big spiel about like, you don't have to can the jam yourself, just go buy some from the store. And then you can cut some fabric and put it on the lid, have your kids do it with like a rubber band. I'll go get mine and I'll show you. But just doing some little tiny thing like that just was like, put so much joy in my day that I was just like, this is beautiful. And I made something beautiful and I just feel happy right now. Anyway, that probably sounds really cheesy,
But it's real. It makes a
It is.
difference.
Yeah.
It really does. And when your heart is warmed, you know, you receive those things in a different way. They don't seem to be a weight, you know, it's not a list of all these things that you should be doing. It is it's kind of like that smorgasbord that you get to choose whatever you feel like, whatever you think might be helpful or enriching or fun or beautiful for you to do. And you don't feel the weight.
here's the little thing.
Oh, cute.
Isn't that adorable? Like, it's just the season for this sort of thing. And I had the fabric and I was like, this is perfect. Anyway, I'm sorry. So excited about it because it's just fun stuff. But this is the sort of thing that'd be really fun to do with a friend. Just like, hey, why don't you bring over your jams and we'll make little things fun. If that's not your thing, don't
We'll
worry
make
about
little bonnets of fabric to put on our jars of jam together.
it. Yes.
I love it.
Anyway.
But yes. And there are people around you that are going to want to share and do that with you. You just don't know it yet. You know, you just maybe haven't found them yet, but they're there. I promise they're there. I've been having these conversations. I told you, like every day I'm having a well-educated heart, mothers of influence conversation with somebody. And I know they're just being put in my life and it's so cool. And there's not one person who doesn't need this. There are going to be some that aren't quite ready. And so all you're doing is planting a seed, you know, that's going to sit there and eventually, you know, something's going to happen with it. But they're going to be impacted by your enthusiasm about it, your warmth, your sincerity, you know, something about that is going to impact them in a positive way, even if you never hear about it. You just got to trust that it's happening. I mean, seriously, don't you feel better when Cadence is on here and she's bubbling over about whatever it is that is going on that she's excited about? I mean, I watch your faces. I can see that, you know, we love that. I don't know about you, but I'm going to guess that if you happen to go on the Well-Educated Heart page on Facebook, dumb old Facebook, and you see one of these women on this screen post something, you feel, I mean, tell me, how do you feel? How does it make you feel when you see one of your friends from our little page here, our little quilt of happiness and joy? How does that make you feel? Don't you feel differently when it's one of your own? Lindsay Bunting.
Yeah, I was noticing that the last couple of weeks that I don't even really look at anybody else's stuff on Well-Educated Heart. I feel kind of bad. And I feel like it's kind of like a family page where it's like I really just see what you guys post. And I feel bad that like I'm interested to see what you guys are doing and how you guys are feeling and what questions you have so that I can answer. Like I'm interested in you guys because I love you guys. So I know there's other people on there that are wonderful and great. And I just kind of skim past that. I feel bad. I know I'm terrible.
Like,
but-
we'll pay attention to you once you come to the Friday discussions. Otherwise, we're just going to scroll
Yeah.
past.
Yeah, I'm like, your own friends can answer. That's so bad.
No, but it's the genuine connection that you feel. It's the love, like you said. That makes a difference. Anybody else? Do you feel that? Do you get so happy when you see each other's posts? Lindsay Watkins.
I do, but what I've also been doing is when I'm planning to do stuff with my kids through the week, I used to write down like, okay, well, on this day we're gonna do this, and on this day we're gonna do this, and then at the end of the day, sometimes I would shut my brain off to what had happened and look at everything I missed out on doing. So I will mentally plan things I want to do, but I've been writing at the end of the day everything we did do. And my list is so long sometimes. And then I feel so happy. Like, oh, look at everything. And then I sit there and I rattle it off to my husband. And I'm like, look at everything I accomplished. We did this, 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 this. And,
Yeah.
and I think he's going, okay, so you may not have done math today, but you did all of this. And holy cow, you know. And so it's kind of like my little gratitude list of everything that did happen and everything we did get to. So
Yeah, I saw that on Well Educated Heart somewhere. So one of the moms was talking about that, and I think they said is that what it was? Backload your calendar, you know? So like, you could have some ideas, you know, just some things out there that you're thinking, you know, these are some things that we could do. But then what you actually write down are all the things that you did accomplish, you know? And wow, can you imagine if we've been doing this our whole lives, our whole careers, as, you know, whatever we've done, how much better we would feel about ourselves, you know? I think that's so wise. Okay, hold on. I do want to go back because Ida said something so beautiful and really important. She said, maybe it's like God sees we have a wound and it needs to be cleaned and it needs attention, or it is going to keep causing pain and even can kill us, spiritually speaking. We can keep carrying that and hurting, or we can let him help us to clean it and dress it and help it heal. It will cause a lot of pain to clean it out. And sometimes from our limited perspective, we see the suffering in the moment, but we don't realize it is part of the process that is needed to clean and sterilize the wound and allow it to heal, or setting the bone so it can heal properly. Yeah, I think that is such that's reality. That is what it's like. And it can be so very hard. So very hard. But gosh, if you're a parent and you're looking at it from that perspective and your child's saying, no, if you loved me, you wouldn't heal the bone. You know, if you loved me, you wouldn't clean out this wound. You would just let it go. And we know better. And so does he. And we just don't have that perspective. Ida, that's beautiful. Yeah, yes, you saw it too. Ida saying she saw that too. I've been doing that too. It's making me feel better. I thought maybe I should try that. It's been helpful to make that kind of list and see what we actually did do. Rachel Stevens also, I've been doing that too. It's been such a beautiful experience. I love that. Oh, Emily's next comment. I love that. It helps me so much to have that perspective about all that I've accomplished. So no more to-do lists, but look what I accomplished list. That's our job, our whatever, from Lindsay Watkins. She's telling us that's what we need to do. No more to-do lists, just look what I accomplished lists. I wish that I could have ladies from this group over for tea time. Oh gosh, you guys are my friends. Absolutely. Okay, so there's this campground kind of facility just outside of Manti that one of my sister-in-law's families own, and it can be rented out. And my sister-in-law just has to be there with us. And so if sometime we wanted to plan a retreat in Utah, because it kind of would be a place where maybe we all could get to, we could actually stay at that place all together, you know, with all of us, our kids, however we want to do it, and we could get together and play. And that would be so much fun. So I really think we should start thinking about, could we make it happen? You know, could that be a reality for us? How far out would we need to make it happen? But anyway, yeah, and we could have tea time just for cadence. But honestly, wouldn't that be fun to be able to visit with each other, go to each other's homes? I know you guys get jealous because I get to see Lindsay and I get to see Laura every single week. They're here at my house on Tuesdays and we all get to hang out together. But and there's something wonderful about it. But I love that some of you have made, as you've had opportunities, you've made efforts to connect with each other. And that's so cool. I just love that. These are real and significant friendships. Definitely, we have been blessed with each other in our lives. And as we add new women to this group, even those that just came on today, Emily, they become part of us. It's where these, I mean, people are led here and brought here because they're supposed to be part of this group. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And with that, I'm going to turn time over to Linnell for any thoughts she has. She's just been patiently waiting, and for our summary.
I have a lot of thoughts from today, so I'm happy to share them. And they're connected to a lot of what has been shared already. And once a month, dark, like rain clouds, what I imagine dark rain clouds come in and take over my emotional state, commonly referred to as PMS. And I've been going through that a little bit this past week. I read somewhere though that PMS should be please make me smile. So you should have a big tattoo on your forehead that says, please make me smile, please, just everyone around me, make me smile, don't tip me off. So you can remember that the next time that those dark clouds roll around in your life. So I thought of how, I think it was Ida who shared, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that we need to experience the sadness and the sorrows in order to appreciate the joys. That it's essential to go through some dark times, even if it's once a month, so that we can appreciate all the rest of the times. I appreciated that perspective. I was reading something in the Mothers of Influence book again that was really pertinent to a lot of what we shared, and you can sit back and relax for a little because I'm going to read. It's like 2 pages, but it's all really good, and I think it ties into a lot of what we shared. The secret of human joy then is to keep the spirit's harp in tune. To the spirit whose harp is out of tune, the clouds are but unsightly rags with which the mantle of the sky is patched. The mountain in its grandeur is but an eminence that is hard to climb. The sublime thunder of Niagara is but a loud noise that makes it difficult to sleep. While the songs of birds, the patter of the rain, the laughter, and the voices of the woods are but the troublesome prattle of nature's children. This past week, I could see how my dark clouds were affecting what I saw around me. And instead of seeing the good in things, I saw the yucky of things. Continues and says, joy cannot be bought with gold. There is but one thing that nature will take in exchange for it, and that is obedience to the divine laws of our being. Joy is the only legitimate and necessary product of every normal and healthy function. It is absolutely impossible for any function of our being, if healthy and normal in its action, to produce anything but joy, no matter what may be the outward conditions. The truest and highest joy is a product of health and is but partially dependent on external conditions. Nature aims at no other grand result than that of joy. She has created the myriad varieties of fruit for the pleasure of the palate. For the joy of the eye, she has painted on the earth's green canvas the gentle hints of heaven and bathed the picture in the liquid silver of the sunlight. For the ear, she has filled the earth with harmony divine. For the joy of our social and domestic natures, she has instituted the home, the fireside, and society. For our intellectual nature, she has filled the universe with problems, the solution of which gives us exquisite pleasure. For our spiritual nature, she has given the heavenly reward of an approving conscience. Thus is joy the eternal aim of nature. On whom then rests the blame when life's joys are tarnished and its sweetness turned to bitterness? Whom shall we blame for the strained and weakened eye that makes the sunlight painful? Whom shall we blame for the overwrought brain that makes causation and all problems irksome? Whom shall we blame for the seared and deadened conscience that makes duty a task and honor a burden? We fancy that the conscience of none of our readers is yet so far deadened that he will not quickly answer, I myself am to blame. The clamor for joy and pleasure then, when rightly interpreted, is a universal call to duty, for the reward of duty is unalloyed joy. It is a call to study and mental discipline, for the fruit of culture, like that of duty, is joy and only joy. It is a call to physical obedience and to the cultivation of health, for joy is the necessary and inseparable accompaniment of these, and without them it cannot exist. Let the reader remember this one fact, that obedience to the physical, intellectual, and moral laws of our being is the only condition that nature imposes upon us. And when this one condition is complied with, she will shower upon us joys untold. She will make the breath of morning a source of exquisite delight. The very consciousness of existence will thrill us with that joy, which all have felt at rare intervals, undefinable and too subtle for any analysis. External objects and conditions seem to play no part in the program. At most, they are only the occasions and not the causes of the joy. We look into the face of a friend or out over the sheen of a lake, and we feel an unutterable joy consuming through all the channels of our being and welling up in gurgling laughter, and we cannot possibly tell why we laugh. The joy that comes to perfect health with the sweet intoxication of the morning dew is the purest and sweetest that nature can yield. Such is the bountiful reward of nature for obedience to her laws. I appreciate so much the joys, the beauties, the heartaches, the opportunities to learn that we are given, because that is the way that we can experience this joy. I think spending Friday afternoons with each of you brings me joy. I enjoy coming to hear from you, to learn with you. Sometimes we cry, often we laugh, and I always learn. And so I appreciate coming away from here and even having the opportunity to share. And that is a joy to me as well. And so this past week, I thought a lot about the quote I shared last week about the sunbeam and how it is the only way we can help a rosebud bloom. I even had an opportunity to share that with a few people. And I've tried to be a sunbeam even as the dark clouds have rolled in. But something that I take away from today is that there's hope. There's always hope for the next week when the sun comes out again, and remembering that this is an important part of my own growth and development, that I can endure and still be happy. And I can especially look for those beautiful contrasts in nature, that I don't ever want to think of Niagara as a loud noise that prevents me from sleeping. I don't ever want to think of my children's laughter as annoying or frustrating or try to silence them. And so I hope that this week we can all think about the joys that nature teaches us and that we can partake of those joys.
That was beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing all that. And thank you for knowing that that was absolutely appropriate and needed today. So I appreciate that. I appreciate your sensitivity to the spirit and sharing those things. Okay, moms, got another week. Let's see what we can do with this one. And then we'll be together again next Friday. And it'll be lovely. Have a great week. I love you all so, so much.